Welcome to the Midwest Game Nerds podcast. I'm your host, John. Here with me today is Brian.
Hey.
And Alex.
Hello.
I'm having trouble talking again, as per usual.
It's all right.
While you're listening along or even watching along, why not head over to MidwestPodcastNetwork.com/support and check out all the various ways you can support us. We got a support store where you can buy shirts and hoodies and stuff like that. Some beer koozies. There's a donate button if you want to donate some money, which would be totally tight. We have an Amazon affiliate link that you can go through to buy all your Amazon stuff, which gives us a little bit of money. So if you're buying games or consoles, or if you want to buy a Vive, which went down in price recently through Amazon. Kind of. It was like $100.
It was only a sale too, I think.
Oh, I thought it was like a permanent thing. Anyways.
Anniversary sale.
But didn't you get that cool Robo Recall game for free too?
On the Vive?
Or is that the Rift?
I think that's the Rift.
Oh.
I don't know. You can rent Vives now too, by the way. But anyways, use the Amazon affiliate link for any of your Amazon purchases so that we can get some money. And you don't have to. Doesn't cost you anything extra. We just get a little bit of what you spend, which is cool. And don't forget to rate and review us on your favorite podcatcher so we can climb the charts. iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play Podcasts, and TuneIn Radio are the main ones, I think. But mostly iTunes, I think, is the most important. And as always, if you like what you hear, or even if you don't, please do send us feedback via email at MidwestGameNerds@gmail.com or via Twitter at MGN Podcast. And don't forget to add us on Instagram at Midwest Game Nerds. Today we're going to talk some game news before Brian talks about Thimbleweed Park, and I'm going to talk about Has Been Heroes. But before we do that, what else have you guys been playing? Anything else?
I finished Horizon Zero Dawn.
And does the ending hold up for the rest of the game?
Yes, it's awesome.
Great.
It's, very spectacular at the end there.
Spectacular. That's a fancy word, man.
And the story, I thought was going one direction and then kind of just got a lot cooler, like the backstory.
Yeah.
And it definitely delivered.
That's awesome.
It's a lot of fun. I will say, after about 2/3 of the way into the game, all the combat seemed kind of easy because partially because I got good at it, and I also had the really good weapons.
Yeah.
But
that's
it
when
was
the
still
game,
fun.
I like when you get to that point in a game where you've already, it's like you've paid your dues, quote unquote, and then you finally understand the systems and mechanics, and you have all the cool gear, and you're basically just like the superhero you're meant to be throughout the whole game. You know what I mean? Like you just get to that point where you're like a total badass.
Yeah, and some of the enemies are still, and they still take some time to defeat. But, It was super cool. I'm really looking forward to the next one whenever that may come out.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Are they making it like a full franchise?
Oh, I'm sure.
It's done so well that one would think they would want to, but I don't. There's been no announcements.
It is absolutely open for another one.
Cool.
But they did actually finish the story. They didn't leave a cliffhanger ending or something dumb. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. I played a bit of Shovel Knight. I picked that up.
Okay.
I picked up the Treasure Trove collection.
So you had something else to play on your Switch?
Yeah. I really kind of suck at 2D platformers in general, and that one's pretty hard. For me, at least.
Did you ever pick up
cool.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night?
I didn't.
You should. Just
I've played a little bit of it. I had the trial or something on my 360.
It's so good.
Symphony of the Night's probably the best. That's peaking. That's if you start with that, I think that's
So that's the only one I need to play. Is
pretty
much. It sets the
it's
bar.
It's a different kind of game than
high.
Shovel Knight, though.
Shovel Knight's pretty good. Shovel Knight's more like an older Castlevania. It's like a Super Castlevania 4 kind of in terms of graphics, but also, there's a little bit more depth to it than there was those old Castlevania games because there's towns to go to and you can buy different magical abilities and stuff like that. And then the other thing about Shovel Knight that's also really cool is that you can kind of there's checkpoints throughout the game, or throughout the stage, and you can use your shovel to destroy those to get more jewels. But then obviously you don't get to use it as a checkpoint.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
interesting.
So you can kind of go through. You can make it harder for yourself and get that. It's that risk reward ratio kind of thing. So that there's a lot of depth to Shovel Knight, and I've really only played the vanilla game. I don't know how the
That's what I've started with, but there's
some
some special features that they added even for the vanilla game, replacing certain characters with other characters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It seems like a really good value because you're basically getting 3 games in one.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's what, $25?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good
It's
deal.
$15 just to get the new one.
Right.
So you can spend $10 more and get the new one and the old one
stuff.
and the old one with a different character, I think is what it is.
That's cool.
And after Horizon, I went back to playing Zelda 2.
Yeah.
And not Zelda 2. I mean, Zelda.
Zelda as well.
As well. Yes. But, I mean, that's, of course, awesome to get back to finally. I only set it down because I was having a hard time playing Horizon and then switching to that and back.
Right.
I finished the first or one of the Divine Beasts, so that was really cool. That was way more involved than I expected. It wasn't difficult, really, though.
Yeah,
they're
kind of like more in-depth shrines, essentially.
Spoiler alert for what I've been playing. I beat Zelda.
Yeah,
like
me too.
Today.
Oh.
Like I beat it today, like 3 hours ago.
Cool.
That fucking game is so good.
It's really good.
so good. It's so good. And the Divine Beasts they're not difficult by any means. I actually think the hardest enemies in the games are those damn Lionels. Yeah, like
they're harder than Ganon is.
Yeah.
Ganon was easy as balls, which is kind of a bummer. But
I did the elephant once, so I did see a Lionel, and I tried to fight it, and I'm like, forget this. I'm done with that.
Did he do his arc arrow launch at you? Yeah. Fuck that. Come on. That guy sucks.
Those are avoidable, but yeah, I mean, as long as you're constantly running, you can avoid them.
Yeah.
He just seems like he has a ridiculous amount of hit points.
Yeah.
And like his reach is ridiculous and yours is not.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
It's like, go back to Dark Souls, you stupid Lionel. You don't belong here.
They're just like, they're super fast, they're super strong, they have the best aim. It's literally like it's like playing they are your nemesis. They're more of a nemesis than Ganon. Like Ganon, I was surprised at how easy Ganon was.
Yeah.
And I was expecting at least 3 or 4 forms, and there's not 3 or 4 forms, which was a little bit of a letdown. But as long as if you unlock all the Divine Beasts, it makes the fight like way easier.
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole point.
Yeah. Right. No, and it works. Like I was like, man, I can't imagine trying to like do this without having that.
That's the thing, is that like people trying to go from the castle like straight from the plateau, like speed run. I still haven't watched any speed runs yet, but I'm really curious to do that, because the idea that you would be going at that fight with like
3 hearts
and probably not the Master Sword. Like, how?
A stick.
Yeah, a stick. I mean, there's a lot of good loot that's in the castle that you can take to that
and
fight.
there's weapons in the room you're fighting Ganon with too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was like a royal halberd laying on the ground and like a couple
of
other weapons.
They give you stuff to do it with, but the idea that you're gonna go at that fight without the Master Sword, to me, is
kind of insane.
I still don't know where it's at.
That's good.
I've heard it mentioned, but
that's good.
Yeah,
getting to the Master Sword.
It'll take you a while.
I think that was my favorite moment in the whole game, was stumbling upon the Master Sword.
Yeah,
it's an awesome moment. So, yeah.
I think after watching like the little cinematic that hits before you get into the fight with Ganon, where all of the Divine Beasts and champions are like gearing up.
It's the scene at the end of the movie when everybody's
it's just that montage of awesome.
Yep.
Like it makes me like if Nintendo, I don't know why these video game companies don't just take all the animations that they put together for these games and make an anime and then just release that for me to watch as well as play the game. Like I would buy that.
Yeah.
So, because
it's
good.
I mean,
and
that's kind of what Blizzard does with Overwatch.
The voice acting is so good, and the animation's beautiful, and it's just
Valve did that with all the meet the players of Team Fortress. You know, like the idea that. So people are kind of doing that kind of thing, but no, I mean,
but give me a franchise that I actually give a shit about. Like Zelda's like one, like why isn't, I mean, there was the cartoon.
I have the
80s
DVD where you can watch all of Metal Gear Solid 3 cutscenes stitched together with really weird gameplay if you'd like to watch that.
That sounds kind of boring.
I don't want to watch that.
It's
Like I would like a Castlevania Symphony of the Night anime, and I would like a Zelda Breath of the Wild anime. Like I would watch these things. I would pay money to watch these things.
Aren't they making a Castlevania?
It's a show, and it doesn't follow the Symphony of the Night. It's its own thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it follows the Belmonts.
It is animated though, right?
Yeah,
Please.
I believe so.
Well, I don't know.
I hope
if
it's not
we don't
live
we don't really
action.
know, but it's supposed to be gory.
It's
as
by the
fuck.
guys who do Adventure Time, right?
Yeah, so it's got to be animated.
It's probably animated.
But yeah,
Probably not that silly.
I'm glad you went back to Zelda. I think you need to finish it.
Yeah, what I've still
good.
been bouncing around. I mean, there's Thimbleweed Park, and then I've actually been playing a decent amount of Destiny. Like I did Vault of Glass. I got my Fatebringer finally. Three years later.
The VOG clan like gears up. They roll call every day to do the
Yeah, but I
raids.
never end up running with them. It's always like me and Corey and some other random people
Oh,
that
really?
he knows or doesn't know.
I don't know.
This last group that we had was actually good because I was about ready to quit doing that because it was just not a fun experience for me. But they were solid and it was actually fun. But it's not quite. It's nowhere near as fun as like our raids that we did.
PS4 group.
Yeah.
We don't have a clan name. Well, I mean, we have the Midwest Game Nerds clan, but those guys didn't want to be in it. They had their own clan already.
Yeah.
But anyways, anything else or no?
No, that's it. I mean, that's a lot of stuff. I don't know how I played so much.
Yeah.
I kind of burned myself out a little bit, and I basically haven't played video games this weekend.
I've been super burnt out, which is why I'm kind of happy
Plus my
to
eye
have
keeps
Has Been
switching,
Heroes.
and I think it has something to do with that.
Your eye's not twitching at all. Like anytime
I
you've
could
asked
just
me to
feel
look
it
at your
just
eye
now.
twitching, it's not actually twitching.
It is. You just can't see it unless you're really looking
I
for it.
stared at your eye for like
Well, it
5
wasn't
minutes on
twitching
Friday,
then.
and it didn't twitch.
If you stare at it, it doesn't twitch.
Yeah, okay. If I look away, it's like Boo from Mario. When I look away, it starts moving. Anyways, Alex, what about you? What have you played?
I've been on a cruise for the past week, so I haven't really played anything.
So you played Skin Cancer Simulator.
Yeah. I'm winning that one. No, so
Hopefully a little booze drinking simulator, too.
I did play a lot of Type Shift because I really only took my phone with me.
Yeah.
I didn't want to play that many video games, but I
mean,
bought,
as like you shouldn't. You're on a fucking boat.
I paid a lot of money to be there, so I'm not gonna, spend it playing video games. But
Right.
so I played a bunch of Type Shift, and I've purchased all of the Clue packs. So I spent about $6-8 on it, and it was normally free, but I felt like the game is good enough to warrant spending that money. So I'm glad that I did, and that's been fun. I still have a bunch of them to do because there's a lot there.
Sweet.
But that's cool. And then I've gotten back to Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm now past the proving, but
Thank
just
goodness.
barely past the proving.
Yeah.
Really.
I can't tell you how many people I talk to, and they're like, yeah, I just got to the proving. This game's pretty cool. I'm like, you haven't even scratched the surface.
Yeah, no, and I know that. I'm pretty aware that it's like, that the proving basically marks the end of the tutorial, essentially, in my opinion.
There's still a lot
There's
to learn.
there's still a lot more to learn after that, but it marks the end of the
I highly recommend doing the hunting proving grounds as you find them. Had I done those earlier in the game, I wouldn't have screwed up so much in the
I think
the
I just
beginning.
found the first one, and the only trouble that I'm having with the game is that I feel like I am just horrible at the combat, and I don't know if it's the fact that I haven't unlocked abilities that'll make it better, or if it's the fact that I've just been playing the game in such weird chunks that I'm not really allowing myself to
I think that's
progress.
a lot what it is. It's like trying to sit down and play like Bloodborne for an hour.
Yeah.
When you just don't like progress that much.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like, I just got to the point where you can start corrupting them. You can use the tool to corrupt the guys to you can then ride the I don't know the names of any of them.
You hijack or whatever.
Yeah. And you can ride the one around like a horse, essentially.
Yeah,
It's your horse. And
the
it was
Striders.
Striders.
There's a couple, like 3 of them I think you can ride.
Okay. So I'm not really quite figuring out, I have the ability to whistle to draw them to me, so I don't know. I just need to play more of it and really get in the groove of it, which I think I'm going to do now that I'm there's a few other things that I've been preventing myself from, buying right now because everybody's ranting and raving about Nier Automata.
Yeah, that looked kind of interesting to me, but I have a feeling that I wouldn't really like it.
I'm interested now that I've heard so many people talk about how awesome it is, so I want to check it out. But yeah, so I don't know if that's gonna I want to pick it up, but I'm waiting on it. And then also Persona 5 is something that I want to pick up.
Very interested in that game.
Yeah,
I really didn't think I would be, but I've read about the other ones in the past.
Yeah,
and I'm like, this is kind of an interesting concept. But I was thinking maybe it'd be a bit too in the Japanese style for me as far as the gameplay goes, but I don't really know.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things that you have to give it a try. I think a lot of the game you need to be willing to get into the fact that you're kind of, at least in the past with the other, I know Persona 4 and even the first one was very much like you are a Japanese school kid. You need to go there and talk to your fellow students and study for your exams and do all these things.
That's still part of the game from what I understand.
Yeah, so kind of you need to be willing to throw yourself into the real role playing part of it more so than striving for the combat, because I think obviously they're both parts of the game, but they're
I was just I watched the first 15 minutes of it, I think, on IGN or one of those sites. And it immediately sucked me in. The presentation's amazing.
Yeah,
the
looks
music
gorgeous.
was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like there wasn't a lot of gameplay in that part, but it was still fun to watch.
Yeah.
And
so I really want to check it out. I haven't yet because I want to devote some time.
It's a huge, long game, so I recommend not getting involved in that until after you finish something.
I want to finish out
like Horizon Zero Dawn. Maybe.
Horizon Zero Dawn, because it's.
I think you'll really appreciate where the backstory
story
and stuff goes later on.
I want to know more about that world and what's happened. So I'll get there.
The Twitch chat just got real weird.
Yeah, it did. But anyway, we'll ignore that guy. John, what have you been playing?
I started Horizon Zero Dawn.
Did you?
I did,
loaned
yeah.
it to him.
Brian, when he wrapped it up, loaned me his copy, so I'm pretty excited to play that. It is very much Far Cry.
Yeah.
Everything about it, the menus, the map, the style of everything, it's pretty ridiculous, It's really awesome. It's beautiful. It is clearly one of the best looking. And I'm not using a PlayStation Pro. I'm using just an OG PS4.
Yeah, I've heard it looks great.
It looks
both,
incredible. So. That to me is super mind blowing that they're able to get that amount. I don't feel like I need to get a Pro. Essentially, it looks that good, and just the water effects, the rain effects, on Aloy. I think her name's retarded. That's the only. I do
it's
not.
It's just Alloy missing an L.
I don't. Yeah, Aloy.
I know.
I just hate shitty names in games. That kind of stuff drives me
I think
nuts.
it's one of those things where they were trying to get to the point where where would names be at in a post apocalypse? So let's get weird with it, kind of thing. But anyway,
everybody would be named Jaden. I don't know.
I guess that works for males and females.
But yeah, I've been playing that. Again, finished Zelda, loved it. What else have I played?
I just want to note to our listener in the chat here.
Chula, is it Chula?
Yeah, I don't know that we're going to touch on our business plan for expanding the podcast during this show, but
Why don't you shoot us an email at midwestgamenerds@gmail.com, and we'll definitely
we can
tell you what
there.
the expansion plans are for this, because we're always pretty excited to talk to people about that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
what else have you been playing? Sorry.
I don't think I've been playing much else now that I think about it. I stopped playing Fire Emblem Heroes just because I haven't had time, and my phone battery only lasts for 3 hours now. So there's no point. By the time I actually sit down to take a shit in the morning, I can't play Fire Emblem. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because my phone's already dead. I've been up for 3 hours. Anyways, what else do I want to say? I sat down and I downloaded a few of the free games that are on PSN and Xbox Gold. The Disc Jam or whatever that was on PSN, I downloaded that. So I want to start playing that, because apparently it's just as fun as Rocket League, but it's just not getting the attention Rocket League has.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I downloaded it. whatever.
So I wanna start playing that. There's a lot of games I need to check out and a lot of things I need to play. And I was at Meijer today, like at 8:00 in the morning, because I'm an idiot. And they had a bunch of games on sale. Like a bunch of games were like, Final Fantasy is like $35 or something like that.
That's cool.
And like a bunch of games were like $40. And then they had a ton of, like, it was buy one get one 40% off, like for everything. So there's a lot of sales going on so there are a lot of really good games that we've talked about in the past that I feel like everybody kind of needs to check out.
Yeah, speaking of that, specifically games on sale and things we've talked about in the past, I recently read that there is a Dishonored 2 trial now.
Yeah.
And you can play like the first 3 missions or something, and your save game progress will carry over to the full game. You can just straight up unlock it, like a digital version of it, if you want to just keep playing it.
That's sweet.
And I think up until a certain time, they're offering it at 50% off as well. I'm not sure if that's over by now or not, but that was definitely a deal they were doing.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
It's cool. It's sad that it probably means that the game isn't getting enough attention.
From what I understand, it sold well, but I mean,
not as well as they wanted it
maybe
to.
Not.
Obviously.
It came out at an awkward time.
It
felt.
It did.
I mean, I picked it up, but I try to pick up everything I can because of the podcast, and I'm just dumb. So
yeah.
That's kind of all I've played in what I've done gaming wise. I've been in a huge lull lately because I kind of played myself out with hitting Neo as hard as I did and then hitting Zelda as hard as I did. I really burnt myself out on games for a minute, which sucks because when you have a gaming podcast, you need content. So
I mean, I'm still into gaming, but I'm also like
I don't know how you bounce around so many different games. That would drive me insane. Like, I can't do that. And it's like I put myself all into something and just go with it, or I don't.
Well, playing like Destiny or something is just like
Destiny's a job. You should get paid for it.
It's just like pulling out like your old beat up pair of sneakers that they fit exactly a certain way and they're just comfortable.
I mean, maybe I need
to walk around town for a little bit.
I know I said I wasn't going to play Destiny anymore because I'm waiting for D2 to come out, but maybe I just need to start playing again and use it as like the pickled ginger of my video game sushi to like cleanse my palate. And before I hop into something else.
It seems like it's probably a reasonable thing to do with it,
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Anyways,
I would like to play through the Taken King stuff before the second one comes out, but I feel like there's so much other new stuff that I want to play that.
Well, we still have.
We could run you through the Taken King stuff in like an hour.
I know.
Plus, Nick and Gojo are always on too, so if we need to raid, I'm sure they'd want to raid.
Yeah, but
anyways. Yeah, let's talk about some news. There's a bunch of news, sort of. I don't know where you want to start. You want me to start?
I mean, we can hit the one thing that I have pulled up.
Okay.
So speaking of our last episode, which we weren't, but now we are, Mass Effect Andromeda on April 4th, BioWare came out with a statement and about what they are intending to do with the game. So I'll just read it off here. Hi, everyone. It's been 2 weeks since the launch of Mass Effect Andromeda. We're thankful to the millions of you who have already joined us on this journey. Though the game is out now in your hands, it's really just the beginning. Since launch, our team has been poring over your comments and feedback, looking to discover what you like about the game as well as areas we can evolve or improve. This Thursday, we will release a new patch that addresses technical fixes, crashes, and improved performance, but also adds a number of improvements we've heard you ask for, such as. So this patch came out last week. It is out now as we speak. Allow you to skip ahead when traveling between planets in the galaxy map, which I know a lot of people were complaining about. I didn't necessarily feel that terrible about it, but increasing the inventory limits, which is good because like even materials were taking up inventory stuff, which isn't that great when you're in like a crafting kind of game. Improving the appearance of eyes for humans and Asari characters. Which isn't like they're literally rendering the eyes differently so that they don't look as dead.
It's a huge thing for me in terms of believability with this kind of shit.
The eyes, I gotta say the eyes in Horizon Zero Dawn look real.
They do.
That fucking game looks real.
Yeah. Well, and I've seen I haven't seen it in action. I haven't seen the patch in action, but I've seen some of the shots from this patched version of Mass Effect.
Dead Eye is gone.
The dead eyes look better. They look a lot better than they did before. So that's
they're like
cool
semi-dead eyes now.
kind of weird that they could like
dying eyes.
just do that in like a patch, like a kind of thing.
I mean,
like,
it's
were
a-
they planning on enabling that in the future?
It's
and
a
they just,
graphical update.
It's probably
or
just
whatever.
like a shader problem. And they
Yeah.
just
So
use a different one or whatever.
if it was a shader problem, it's like why didn't they do something about that earlier? But I don't know.
I feel
clearly
like
this game was shoved out the door. So
I have an issue. I think a lot of it is that engine in general, but or the way they use it, everything looks kind of dead.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's a
For sure.
problem. I didn't think that was an issue with Unreal so much, although they did have some plasticky looking faces and stuff in that.
Yeah. They've decreased the cost of remnant decryption keys and are making them more accessible at merchants. That means nothing to me. Improving localized voiceover lip sync. That's cool. Fixing riders' movements when running in a zigzag pattern.
I did get the cool like crab walk thing going on a couple times. I thought it was a feature.
It's funny.
It was more of a
It's
feature
pretty
than
funny.
a bug for me.
And then they said improving matchmaking and latency in multiplayer, which I've heard has kind of made the multiplayer worse. Like they're waiting on another patch for the multiplayer to get better at this point. But after that, they said there are many more adjustments that were made in that patch. But over the next 2 months, they'll be rolling out additional patches that do so much as more options and variety in the character creator, improvements to hair and general appearance for characters, ongoing improvements to cinematic scenes and animations, improvements to male romance options for Scott Ryder, and adjustments to conversations with Hanley Abrams. So
That's getting a lot of attention right now.
they've got a lot of stuff that they want to do, it seems like. So, that's awesome that they're working on it. And I'm still not going to buy the game right now.
Yeah.
So,
I've decided to wait to get back to playing that.
yeah.
I'm going to play Zelda and Thimbleweed Park first, and then I'll get back to Mass Effect when it's in better shape.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's all I had news-wise. I apologize for the beeping. I'm trying to do this GoPro thing.
It's all good. Yeah, I mean, the first bit of news isn't really news, I guess, as much as speculation, but there was some speculation on the Scorpio's price. So they're expecting this was from IDC analyst Lewis Ward. He says, I estimate the basic hardware will cost around $650, so if Microsoft wants any kind of margin at all, Scorpio will have to retail for $700 or more.
Well,
That's, again, speculation, but
and here's the thing is that I didn't get enough time to look at all of this stuff, but I know that Digital Foundry got to look at one in action, essentially, or at least the hardware in action and how it played Forza
6, yeah, it was Motorsport
6 or Horizon
6.
3. Yeah. They
4K 60 frames per second is
I
what
can
I
go
read.
I can go into more if you're going to start talking about specs and shit.
Well,
like
no,
that.
I was just going to say Digital Foundry has come out and been like, we expect it to be about $499.
Okay,
That's
that's
what I
interesting.
read.
So they're people. They are people that know things, as opposed to maybe this guy. I don't know anything about this guy or what he's seen, obviously, but
He might know things too, but I
yeah.
don't really know.
So we don't know who.
we
knows
don't know
things.
anything, honestly.
Yeah, we don't know things. They might know things.
I'm hoping
Yeah.
like $499, I'll get one.
It says here that
600 or 700, I don't know about that.
well, Digital Foundry said the technical wizards say it's more powerful than any video game box we've seen, capable of running Forza tech demo at 60 frames per second and 4K resolution.
Yeah,
whereas the
that's
PS4 Pro
awesome.
was an iteration, Scorpio appears more like a new console generation.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And yeah, so the specs for the Scorpio are as follows. It's got an 8 custom x86 cores clocked at 2.3 gigahertz. It has 40 customized compute units at 1172 megahertz for the GPU, 12 gigabytes of GDDR5 RAM. It has memory bandwidth of 326 gigabytes per second, 1 terabyte hard drive, and it has 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray. So,
Which all of that is legs up over the PS4 Pro.
yeah.
Everything. Like none of that is less than the PS4 Pro.
No, it's
So-
all
Yeah.
more. Everything.
I
Every
do
bit of
feel
that.
like that is worth $100 more, but
And this is also worth saying. All existing Xbox games, including Xbox One backwards compatible titles, will run smoother, look better, and load faster without requiring an update or any work from developers. All games running on Project Scorpio will achieve more consistent frame rates, faster load times, improved what is that word? Anisotropic filtering, and will run at their peak resolution if the title implemented dynamic scaling. In addition, developers will also have the option to update existing titles to further take full advantage of Project Scorpio's advanced capabilities, including full 4K assets and 4K resolution.
We do have a question in the chat. Jordan says, do you think Andromeda is worth getting once they have fixed their shit? Haha. Brian says he's going to go back to it then.
I think if you've played all the other Mass Effect games, it's still worth checking out. But don't expect it to be as good as them.
I personally don't think they can do enough patches to fix the issues that I had with the game. I think they'd have to rewrite the script and get new actors, but that's not going to happen. So,
I mean, especially
there's one person on both sides.
If it falls in price to like $40 or something, sure,
I would pick it up and play it for $20 maybe. But
by the time it's $40, $20-$40 or whatever, they're gonna have a ton of the kinks like fixed on that. And
maybe they're gonna like have DLC like Mass Effect 3, which really you should have had that DLC from the beginning if you didn't buy it.
Like the Citadel and stuff.
Not the Citadel, but the one what's the race? The Protean.
Oh, yeah.
The Protean guy should have been included in the game because he made everything better. And so, like, maybe they're going to have some DLC that's like, oh, by the way, here's a good story. But
right.
I don't know. Back to the Scorpio. Sorry.
No, it's okay. The last thing I just wanted to say was, again, I'm quoting from Kotaku for anybody who cares. For Scorpio to truly compete, Microsoft will need to ensure that it has a lineup of games as impressive as the PlayStation 4's. Microsoft has said that Scorpio will be out this fall. There's no word on a price yet. Blah blah blah. The library of games.
Great exclusives.
No, that's they need to make that shit happen.
Sony's
seriously
killing it this year.
They are
like really killing it. Not only with like PSVR like killing it, but like all of the exclusives they've had so far this year are just out of this fucking world.
Well, but so think about it. We've got the things that people are really talking about right now. We've got Neo, we've got Horizon Zero Dawn, we've got Nier Automata, which is
although
a sequel.
it's also on PC, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then Persona 5, which is a sequel. Like there's
Horizon Zero Dawn.
I said that. So that
was the second one.
There's two they've got two games that are like brand new IP. They have two games that are sequels. Like they're kind of knocking it out on all parts.
Yes.
And it sounds like the most that we could maybe expect.
The Order 1886. That's a great
yeah.
exclusive.
No, it's fantastic.
The worst reason to buy a PS4.
So what Microsoft is maybe poised to have, if they really wanted to like bring it all out, they could say, okay, here's Crackdown 3, because that's supposedly still coming.
Right.
This year, I think.
Yeah. Here's the new Forza 7, right? That should be here this year, because they do every other year on those.
Yeah, I think now they're in that cycle.
Yeah. So they could say, here's a new Forza. The next best thing that they could really do is just be like, and Halo's coming. Because we've heard nothing about Halo 6, right?
No thanks.
We don't care.
True.
But like
I
Halo,
was really disappointed in Halo 5.
And I think a lot of people were. I think Halo 3 did great. Halo 4, people were like, this is good. And then they were like, wait a second. And then Halo 5 came out and everybody was like, this isn't
It's funny because 4, like the story was good. Like the campaign was awesome. And I wasn't expecting it to be that good. But the multiplayer sucked.
Yeah.
And then the 5th one, the multiplayer is awesome. But the
story sucks.
sucks.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing. We haven't heard anything about it. So is that going to be here for the Scorpio this year?
Who knows?
Probably not. Maybe. More likely next like spring or something.
I
probably.
would say they absolutely need to ship Crackdown with the Scorpio launch.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
Crackdown's got to be
Crackdown's
out.
supposed to
like not. I mean, don't limit yourself to one game.
Well, I mean, it could definitely harness
Nintendo,
that power too, that extra power, because it supposedly has like fully destructible.
Yeah, yeah,
assets.
and in multiplayer as well. Like was kind of the big thing of like everybody. They were going to compute from the cloud.
Yeah.
During multiplayer for complete destructibility. Which
Maybe the cloud will actually be the it'll run like a torrent type network, and it'll just use the Scorpios for extra.
Yeah, there you go. Everybody's got to buy a Scorpio. The more people that buy a Scorpio, the better Crackdown 3 looks
for everyone.
So, that
mesh networks.
Right now, Microsoft is very quiet. except for the Scorpio stuff.
Well,
Like Halo Wars 2 came out a couple weeks ago. Everybody forgot about that, and then that's about it.
Good on them for being able to like keep their shit tight and wrapped up because I mean they're obviously waiting for E3.
I've heard that they have a lot planned for E3.
I hope
don't
so.
remember where I heard about that.
I hope Switch has a lot for E3. That's what I'm really hoping for because they need to start really ramping up their everything.
It's going to be an interesting E3 this year.
We get Mario Kart in a week or two?
2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah, Mario Kart's out in 3
end of
weeks.
April. And then
but that's a game that's already been out.
Yeah.
It's just like a better version.
Splatoon 2 is like June, July.
So
I don't know if
away.
It's got a date
Plus,
yet.
John doesn't like Splatoon. So
I tried to like it.
Him.
I tried to like it. So
They really need to get out there with the like virtual console or whatever.
That would be enough to keep me content.
They got to get something going. You know?
well, because there's some games I wanted to play on Wii U, like, and Wii even. There were games I want to play. So let me buy them. Let me spend my money.
That's the weird thing is that you kept hearing all these rumors about like, they're going to bring out Smash Brothers. They're going to have Super Mario Maker because of the fact that the Wii U
really
was such
want
a bomb.
Super Mario Maker.
Like they should have had Mario Maker ready to go day one and just been like, here's Mario Maker on this new system.
Yeah.
All the old things carry over, but you got to buy a new one to use these special features. I don't know.
And I haven't actually played Mario Maker myself, but how would it be any easier to use it having the touch screen?
Well, that's the thing.
Well, you had one on the Wii U.
Yeah, but like having is the Switch a more responsive touch screen in general? Like,
well, it's not. It is the Switch screen is actually capacitive. It's not inductive. Right. So it's not just one contact point. You could use multiple. Whether or not that's going to help, I don't know. I think most people wanted to use the classic controller. Or
five enemies.
Yeah,
it actually has a disadvantage compared to the Wii U when it comes to like a Mario Maker game because you can't use the touch screen and the TV at the same time.
Yeah.
With the Wii U, you can.
To be honest, you didn't like there wasn't much simultaneous use of the two. So it's not that big of a hindrance, but it was kind of interesting to be like, here's the editor view and then here's what you actually see in the level.
Well, I'm sure they'll figure it out. Yeah. That's one thing that they're good at for sure is game design.
Yeah. So they should have been ready to go on these things, and the fact that they're not is a little dismaying to me, but E3 is gonna be very interesting on several accounts.
Yeah,
I'm expecting Sony to be disappointing this year because I think Microsoft and Nintendo both need to like blow it out of the water, and I think they will. I hope they will. But
well, I mean, Sony finished up strong last year, having the VR and all that, and then
yeah.
This year
that was one other thing that was being said. I know somebody from Microsoft came out with a quote saying, we will discuss VR will be something for the Xbox in 2018. So they're kind of like,
oh, I got it.
They're like, we're waiting.
The Scorpio is actually built into a headset that you put on your head.
Yeah.
And it looks like a scorpion.
That was the other thing was that they were saying it's built into it's state of the art. They had
wearable technology.
No, they had a line that made me very wary. It was something about state of the art heat dispersion technology or something, and I was like, oh god, we're gonna have more red rings.
Actually, I read it used like the vapor chamber thing that the NVIDIA cards use.
I don't know, but it was just like a very general statement that made me sound like, oh yeah, like the state of the art stuff that was in the Xbox 360. That
speaking of
burned
heat dispersion technologies, last week while you were gone, there was a Redditor who posted his Switch had warped, from the heat being in the dock supposedly, and it sent Reddit into a huge frenzy of like, oh my god, everyone's Switch has a warp to it.
Yeah.
The reality being, in listening to some of the product engineers that are part of the community, were saying that you need to have a margin of like 1 to 2 millimeters, a margin of error in production. So I looked at my Switch and put it up against a line, and it does have a slight bend to it, and that's pretty natural from what everybody's saying. So But this particular Redditor had like it was like really bowed, like to the point where it was like Nintendo I think is giving him a new one.
Interesting.
Because they said it's a fluke somehow. Like it's not.
It shouldn't bow that
not
much.
that
Should be
much.
more ergonomically friendly.
Well, and what I had learned in reading some of the information is that the screen's actually plastic, if I'm not mistaken.
It feels like it is.
Which I didn't realize. I thought it was glass, but
Yeah, I don't know.
they said
The
if
fact that it's been scratching
if
so
the screen
easily,
was glass, it wouldn't bow as
yeah.
easily, supposedly.
Interesting.
But I found that interesting. Also, they released a Destiny 2 trailer,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
a big one.
There was the teaser one, and then
There was the
big
teaser.
one.
No
and then
gameplay.
They were both
the big
really
one.
funny.
The gameplay is coming in May. They're going to
Yeah,
show us
they're
like
gonna do a
May something,
playthrough.
13th or something like
But-
that.
You got Nathan Fillion as Cade 6.
Yeah.
And Lance,
That's enough to get you on board, right?
Lance Reddick as
Zavala.
Zavala, yeah.
Yeah, and it basically just seems as though the tower has been completely destroyed and all of your
Yeah,
shit has been taken away.
They built in the fact that you can't have any of your old shit.
Right.
So that's good.
And everyone's on foot on the planet. So I'm speculating it's just going to be World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing is that it just seems like a very
in Russia.
they're kind of they're playing two sides of the coin with like Zavala's very self-serious and Cade 6 has only gotten more wacky since I've been playing the game.
Yeah.
And that is going to be a very delicate balance to play, I think, because it's not, I don't know. It just seems like a very, like, I don't know if it's going to be, it seems like obviously, like Cade 6, they were both heads of their different factions, right?
I just
Like-
want to know, am I going to be able to play as Cabal? Like, can I play
No.
as the enemies?
No,
No.
Why not?
because
'Cause
you're
why
a
would you?
guardian. That's the whole point of Destiny.
But
I don't-
what if I want to be a Vex?
I don't think it's going to be that, it's not going to be WoW. I don't think that's it.
No, I do feel like it will be more open.
Yeah.
Like there will be social areas that are on the map that you can go to with no loading.
like
Like
Stormwind.
you can go from patrol to like a tower type thing.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
Or you-
I feel like that's the direction they're going to go in.
It would just be cool to eliminate patrols in total and just the idea that you can kind
I
of
love that stuff sometimes. It's just
Well, no, but I mean, like, just the fact that, like, your social area, yeah, like, there will be an area where social things can happen, but then as soon as you step outside of it, you are just in the game, and you either go on patrol or you go where you need to go to start a mission or, like, whatever.
if it were up to me, they would have patrol zones with open PvP though.
But what if I want to
That'd be
play
interesting.
as Cabal? Like, I want to...
You're going to have to wait for a different game because
Yeah.
this isn't it.
Destiny 3.
Start your wish lists, everybody.
I feel like playing as a Cabal would be super boring. All you
No,
can do is
'cause
like
you
use your
get-
jetpack and jump up in the air and then like
you can sit behind your
ground
shield
slam.
forever.
You could just be a Titan like you usually are. So
Whatever, man. Why you got to ruin all my dreams?
I think a Vex would be more interesting.
Dream Smasher. Anyways.
Is
So,
that
yeah.
is that a new gun?
What?
What is
The
what,
Dream
the Dream
Smasher?
Smasher? What does it do?
It destroys all of your dreams
Oh,
and
okay.
hopes and dreams
Yeah,
and murders your childhood.
It's actually me.
yeah.
I am the Dream Smasher.
It's Brian's unique weapon.
Brian Incarnate made into a gun.
That
It's got a very tiny,
I should switch
Muzzle.
my
Very, yeah,
my
it's a
screen
very
name to
low
that.
caliber.
smallest muzzle.
It's like a 22, but it packs a
It's
punch.
just a surgical strike to
Yeah.
your brain.
The tiny, it's like a BB. It's a really strong BB that just like, no, it's like whistles. It just like whistles into your brain and destroys your dreams.
That's awesome.
Anyways,
man.
all right. So Destiny 2 is going to be out on September 8th. The official gameplay release is
September 8th.
Isn't that what I said?
You
Yeah.
were just going into, I don't know.
No, I was
I
gonna,
can't
like
remember.
the gameplay reveal is
May
May something.
something.
May teen, something in the teens in May.
I thought
it's
it was
not in this fucking article
17th
anywhere.
or 13th.
I
I think
don't know.
I think it's 13th. I'm not 100% sure though. And
Mid-May.
then, also here, before we jump into reviews, CD Projekt Red has trademarked the term cyberpunk, which has pissed off a bunch of the internet because they don't want CD Projekt Red to trademark cyberpunk. But the reality is that CD Projekt Red is saying they're only doing it for defensive purposes for in the event they decide to make a sequel to their Cyberpunk 2077 game and make Cyberpunk 2078.
And I cannot wait for that game.
It doesn't, to me, like, I don't know why anybody who's a fan of CD Projekt Red would think that they're going to encroach on the
That's the thing.
I mean,
It's
they've
just
been nothing but nice.
It's just
They
internet.
release their games DRM free still.
It's internet mob
'Cause
mentality
they just trust that
of
you're gonna
like they
actually
just need to be mad
be
about
nice about it.
something, and they are choosing to be mad at CD Projekt Red for performing a defensive maneuver to defend their own IPs later on down the line, which is the way it sounds. That's the way they've put it out to be, is that it's literally just a defensive move in order to make sure that somebody else doesn't steal Cyberpunk 2078.
To be honest, to me, it sounds like a trademark that wouldn't be defensible or would not actually be awarded, because the idea of something being cyberpunk, like, that's a general term now. So I wouldn't think they would get it in the end, but I don't know.
But maybe like the term
Cyberpunk
is one thing.
Like, if it's Cyberpunk 2077
but I feel
is
as
the
though
trademark,
they're trademarking it as a title.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works, though. I'm not that familiar with trademark IP.
I don't know.
Talking to the wrong
We
people.
actually owe them royalties for every time we've said cyberpunk on this episode so far.
Yeah, they're going to
They can-
monetize the YouTube
They can
video.
suck
now.
my cyber dick as far as I'm concerned. Anyways, next up and last piece of news here, the University of Utah has announced a varsity esports program. And it's starting with League of Legends. They actually have a scholarship program for
That's
esports.
ridiculous.
Wow.
We went to school at the wrong time, guys.
I don't know. I wouldn't.
I wouldn't put enough time into League of Legends.
I feel as though we're going to
a
have to start.
scholarship.
If there's
I'd rather
competitive
drop out.
Spelunky, then maybe I'd get in.
Competitive
But
Spelunky.
I don't think that's.
That just sounds like, yeah.
We're going to have to start covering esports, I feel like.
I will say I was in a bar in our town here a couple, like 2 Fridays ago.
Yeah.
They had
the Dota championship on.
No, they had a Street Fighter V tournament.
Oh yeah,
on
that's
TV.
been going on that's been huge lately.
And the thing is that there was like no indication of like an actual channel that it was on. Like it wasn't like
it's an ESPN, like ESPN.
it didn't even
covers
necessarily, like, I couldn't
esports.
even see an ESPN logo anywhere. Like, it was something, I don't know. It was, maybe there's one dude at that bar that loves Street Fighter or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe.
It was strange.
Streaming
I
it
was
off of
like,
Twitch.
what is going on? I'm pretty sure the people I was with was like, what do you care? Like, it's just
Right.
Don't you
But
like video games?
I do, but yeah, I don't know.
Anyways, esports. Woohoo. You can now You can get a scholarship for varsity esports.
I'm pretty sure anybody who's playing esports on that level doesn't really care to go to college anyway.
They could probably make way bigger.
They're
way more
probably
money in
making way more money
competitions.
getting other sponsorships and
It's
things
just
like
so
that.
ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
Anyways, Brian,
Whatever.
we'll talk about Thimbleweed Park.
Oh, geez. Just put me on the spot like that, huh?
Fuck
Yep.
yeah.
It's a game by Ron Gilbert.
And Gary, I can't remember.
Who
his
are
name.
they?
They are awesome graphic adventure designers.
Yeah, Ron.
Game designers.
What else have they made?
Maniac Mansion and The Secret of Monkey Island, which is my all-time favorite, I would
Sweet.
say. Yeah, I mean, Ron Gilbert kind of started the whole approach of like making adventure games that do not constantly punish you with random deaths and stuff like Sierra Games did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In fact, you couldn't die. Well, in Maniac Mansion, that was LucasArts' first graphic adventure. You could kill off characters in that, and you could get yourself in a position where you could not finish the game. But then, like, later on, like by Monkey Island, which was like, I want to say the 5th adventure game that they put out, and beyond, it was impossible to get yourself in like a game-breaking situation.
Yeah.
But that takes a lot of thought, I'm sure, like
Yeah.
to actually design your game like that. But anyways, Thimbleweed Park is totally an old school graphic adventure. It's really cool if you like that kind of game.
So we're
It
talking.
is one of my favorite genres, actually. But
It's like point and click essentially.
Yeah, point and click adventure.
Do we have a board of verbs?
Yes.
Okay.
It's it's super old school.
Okay.
It has the exact same like
Scum layout.
Yeah, when they narrowed it down to the 9 verb system, it's that.
All right.
Which they started, I want to say, with Monkey Island. But yeah, it looks a lot like Maniac Mansion though, but it has some modern graphical flares to it here and there, as animation wise and stuff.
What are we talking about story wise? Like, are we in a certain century? Is there a genre to it? Like, what are we?
I'm not entirely sure what time it's set in. I want to say like the 80s, but I don't really know for sure.
Yeah.
It is the 80s.
All right.
I think 80s or 90s.
Does it have awesome music?
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's kind of the vibe is kind of like Twin Peaks / X-Files kind of.
Okay, that's cool.
It's interesting.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. It's like a murder mystery kind of deal. It starts out, you have 2 characters to start with that are both federal agents, like FBI, whatever. But they also have their own agendas going on, but you don't really know what they are yet.
Okay.
And then you move up through you solve a few puzzles with them, and then another character will pop up. Like it goes to like a flashback, and you have to play a different character for a while. Like there's this clown, like this insult clown guy, who's hilarious. And there's like a lot of beeps, like just constant bleeping.
Can you take the bleeping off?
No.
That sucks.
No, it just makes it funnier, trust me. But after you finish with him, there's like this game designer person. But I think eventually, after you go through these like little mini puzzle solving segments with those characters, I think they're going to be like permanent characters at some point. Because I read that there's 5 playable characters, and you can switch between all of them. But
interesting.
Yeah, that makes things a bit complicated too. Because some like Maniac Mansion, you had to use 3 characters, but you had like, I want to say either 6 or 8 to choose from, and depending on who you choose or who you chose, like you could only solve puzzles in a certain way with them, which I thought was ingenious, but it was also overly complicated at times.
Yeah.
And I mean, you guys have played Day of the Tentacle. You like
switching
that.
Between the 3 characters,
but that was really well thought out, because you could actually like transfer items between characters and stuff, which you can't do in this game.
Okay.
There's no toilet to flush them down through time.
All right.
But I don't know. I'm enjoying it so far. It's super, like I said, it's complete throwback. Like it's completely geared towards somebody like me that has actually played all those games. Like if you haven't played those games, they're just like the Thimbleweed Park is modernized just enough to make it not too painful.
How long have you played it?
Like probably like close to 4 hours. I want to say.
How much was it?
$20. I want to say.
Do you think it's worth $20?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right on.
Did you play any of the new Broken Age?
I did. I didn't really like Broken Age that much.
Okay.
I actually didn't even finish it.
All right.
I just wasn't. I didn't like the puzzles, and I actually didn't like the style. Like a lot of people liked the art style of it, and I just wasn't a fan.
Yeah.
But
you were saying that you got stuck. You did get stuck on a puzzle in Thimbleweed Park.
Yes.
So it's good to know that that's still.
Yeah, it has the really
It's got challenge.
weird, like combining of objects that makes it's like a different kind of logic.
Yeah.
See, that makes it easier for somebody like me that has played those games a lot. So I don't know how difficult it will be for someone that is not familiar with that type of game.
Yeah.
But they did add like the modern things I'm talking about is you can actually run now, because you used to walk painfully slow through all these games in the past.
Right.
But now you can double click.
I think that's why I put down the Day of the Tentacle remaster, because I was like, oh, this is moving so slow.
And then all the characters carry a to-do list with them, which is basically
That's convenient.
So that way, when you lose focus, which is super easy in those games, you just look at your to-do list and think, okay, well, can I do any of these things? And that helps you.
Right.
And then Yeah, well, those two things are what I was mostly thinking about that help modernize it and make it a little more approachable to people that haven't played those games so much.
Cool.
But there's so much like self-referential humor and like stuff like that, and there's all kinds of Easter eggs, like an absurd amount. There's like Maniac Mansion characters just straight up in the game and stuff.
That's
and
awesome.
items,
That's sweet.
like that poster with the Carmelie Center brain. I don't know if you guys remember
can't
that
remember.
at all.
No, dude, I haven't played that game. It's been a long time.
Well, yeah. And there's a collectible, which is a joke in itself. It's a speck of dust. It's like a joke on the whole pixel hunting thing, and
because
also
it's
kind of
literally
like
a pixel.
it is a gray pixel that will be in a random spot in a screen, and apparently there's like up to 70 of them. And as you collect them, they all like they go in the same like inventory spot, and you can count how many you have. It just looks like dandruff, basically.
Wow.
But they have absolutely no purpose, from what I read.
That's
It's
funny.
It's just for fun.
just to see if people would
It's an
actually
achievement,
collect them.
probably. Cool.
Right on.
Yeah.
Man. Sweet.
I'm excited. Yeah.
We'll have to check in more as you
As
progress.
you progress,
Yeah, the voice acting, I will say, is not up to the standards of the old school.
of Mass Effect Andromeda.
No, of just like the voice acting when they started doing like the talkie versions with the voice acting, they were really good, and I feel like
And when they started doing talkies back in like 1930.
because that was
yeah,
that was
after the silent era.
Yeah, after Charlie Chan.
that was LucasArts, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is they had ILM at their helm,
Yeah.
sort of. So yeah, I mean, of course they're gonna have better voice acting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
It's good enough. I mean, it's there. It's
I feel
fine.
like the point and click adventure thing is kind of making a comeback.
It has been for years.
Yeah,
But
it's
I
been
feel
a very
like-
slow.
I feel like over the past 2 or 3 years, it's like you're just seeing more and more of it.
I think it kind of started with the Monkey Island remaster on 360. And it's just kind of been building since then.
Yeah, and
with
like the Telltale games are just
that was like a
pushing it
dream
even
come true for
further.
me. Those look so
That
good.
the King's Quest remake and like
Yeah,
that
so
kind of
there
stuff.
it's kind
Well,
of
Telltale, I mean, has really
Telltale
Yeah.
in general is kind of they've
gone with
brought
that
it
brand.
into a different direction.
The problem is ever since like the Sam and Max games that they started with, basically, I think those were like the first Telltale games. Those were awesome, and they had real legitimate puzzles in them. But most of their newer ones, I feel like, are
They're
just
more of a
too light on the
storytelling.
puzzles.
Yeah.
And this is definitely not going to be like that, which I appreciate.
right
So I
on.
like to actually be challenged somewhat.
That's cool.
So yeah, has been heroes.
Yeah. So
All right,
describe it to me a little bit.
Okay,
I've
so-
seen screenshots, but what?
has been heroes is basically a. How do I want to explain this? It is a real-time / pausable turn-based RPG that plays roguelike, that when you die, you start over. And you have 3 characters on screen, and as each character attacks, you can swap the position of them.
Yeah. So
And
there's like lanes.
There's 3 lanes, so it's almost like a tower defense game in the sense that enemies kind of pour in from the right side of the screen, and some of them pop up middle of the road
Okay.
in the lanes. Middle of the road. And so as you send a character off to attack, and each character corresponds to a button on the controller. So in this case, I'm playing on Switch. So my top character corresponds to X, my middle character corresponds to Y, and my bottom character corresponds to B. And when you select one of the characters, you then press A to attack with them. And then each character has like a special ability of some sort, and you collect other spells and things as you make your way through the world. The maps are all randomly generated and procedural. And I will be completely honest with you, I hated this game when I first started playing it. I didn't get it. It didn't make any sense. I was like, this game's too fucking hard, and it's like I feel like my character's super weak, and I realized that the issue I was having was I wasn't swapping lanes on the fly, which is what you kind of have to do in order to really enjoy this game. Is you have to understand, you have to really take the time to like to understand that it is a roguelike game. You are meant to die and start over and like revamp your strategies
and use the stuff that you're collecting, right?
No, you don't even get the stuff. You start over. You start from scratch.
There's nothing that allows you to like upgrade in between.
Nope.
Wow.
You get no carryover at all. The only thing that carries over is your gold that you collect.
Okay.
And that's it.
But then the gold, like, what do you spend that gold on?
When you're in the world, you can run into locksmiths you can buy keys from to unlock the chests that are locked throughout the world. You can also buy spells from mages, and you can buy equipment from...
But then when you die, you don't get to keep any of that.
Right.
Sounds...
It's brutal.
rough.
Like, it is very brutal in terms of its roguelike aspects. But... I hated this game at first, but once I actually understood how to play the game, how to swap lanes quickly and like plan ahead, like you really have to think ahead and understand how each of the characters does what they do. And you have a heavy that gets one attack. You have I'll call him like a medium that gets 2 attacks, and your light that gets 3 attacks. But my light that gets 3 attacks is actually stronger than any of my mediums, which is weird. So you have each character has 1, 2, 3 attacks. So you'll have an enemy coming in from the right that has a stamina bar of 1, which means when you hit them with the 1 person, it causes them to stun because it took down their stamina and they stun. And then when that person goes to attack, it freezes the game, and you can swap lanes and then send another character to attack that same character, or you can just send each of the characters down the lanes to attack whichever lane they're currently in.
Yeah.
Right. It takes a ton of strategy, I feel like, and it takes a lot of thinking and a lot of planning ahead, and you really have to pay attention to what enemies are on the screen because you have to know how you need to be swapping lanes as you're doing it. So
when you are playing, so there's obviously some kind of overworld where you're spending the gold, right?
Right.
And what is that? What form does that take? Is it like a side scroll?
Okay, so it's not really an overworld. It's part of the map that you're on. So when you're in the map and you're going, like, there's nodes on the map, okay? And as you move from each node, like, you can look ahead and see, okay, the next node is a battle. So you go into the battle, you fight the battle. And then from there's 2 nodes that spawn off of that. One node takes you to nothing. The next node takes you to a merchant. So then you go down to that node to the merchant, and the merchant may have from 1 to 3 items available, and each of them is like 80 gold or whatever. So then you can open the treasure chest to see what the item is, and if it's an item you've already had before, it'll tell you what it does. If it's one you've never had before and it's new to you, you don't know. But as you go through, each time you die, you're unlocking new things. You unlock 2 things every time you die. When you actually beat a run through the dungeon, you unlock, like, I unlocked 77 things the first time through, and the second time because I've completed 2 full runs, which each time you complete a run, the game gets longer.
Okay.
Which I thought it was just like one or 2 screens, like 1 or 2 maps each time, but I'm at the 3rd run now, so I have 3 sections of map to get through before I complete.
Eventually, if you get good enough, it lasts a lifetime.
Yeah. That's the thing. Some of these battles that I've fought, like starting out, I had a battle last me like an hour because I was like really stopping to plan every strategic move that I made. So I can't stress enough how much you have to think about what you're doing. And they don't really, in the tutorial, they don't emphasize like take your time to like pause the game, and you can pause the game anytime you want using the left trigger, or not left trigger, the left shoulder.
Okay.
So you can pause anytime using the left shoulder, and you really need to do that. It's something you have to do to really understand what's going on the screen, to look and plan ahead and see like, okay, this enemy here has 3 stamina boxes. This enemy here has 7 stamina boxes. How do I want to how do I want to swap characters to make sure that I can stun these guys and do as much damage as possible to them, because they're all moving towards you. The enemies don't fly towards you to attack you. They walk slowly to you. And so like once they get to you, they hit you and they bounce all the way back to the right side of the screen and start over.
Okay.
But if they take down your stamina, because each of your characters has stamina boxes too. When that happens, you end up with they now have the ability to actually do damage to you. And if some of the enemies have 2 attacks, some of them have 3 attacks. The bosses are like super intense. The first boss that I've encountered they call him like the bandana skeleton, and he basically teleports like between the lanes, and as he teleports, creates little phantoms of himself that chase after you that have 1 hit point each. So you've got to waste a move on, because each melee attack has a cooldown. Every spell has a cooldown. So you've got to waste that attack killing these little things before they get to you, because they'll take down your stamina, and then the next one that hits you might kill you. Like, so you really have to think ahead, and it sounds super complex. And I said, I hated this at first. I could not play it. I did not want to play it. I was like, I bought it and I was like, this was a huge mistake. I should have bought Snake Pass, like, because everybody's raving about Snake Pass, and I'm like, but then I was like, I'm not going to get mad at this. I'm going to try and beat a map and actually see what happens, because I started getting better at flipping lanes and figuring it out. And then finally, like, I realized, like, I just need to just total onslaught and like keep my guys moving constantly. And
sounds exhausting. Like, just listening to you talk about it is stressing me out.
Sorry. It excites me because it's something different. And like all the reviewers that I was reading online were like hating on it, how it's like too difficult and they don't get it and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I understand where they're coming from, but I feel like they didn't give it the shot that I did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they really didn't sit down and were like, okay, I'm going to fucking beat this first level and figure this out. But that's it. Like they didn't go past that. Like they were just like, I'm going to give this a shot. And then they gave it a shot and they were like, this game sucks. And they moved on. Like the reviews are awful for it. And that sucks because it's actually a really fun game. It's got really cool art style. There's a ton of collectibles, a ton of other characters to unlock. So like every time you run through and beat a battle, like you unlock other items, but you also unlock other characters. So
we just got retweeted by somebody who worked on Thimbleweed Park, by the way.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, cool.
David Fox. Is that ring
cool?
a bell?
Let's shout out to David Fox.
I could have said more about it. I mean, but you guys haven't played it, so that doesn't help.
yeah. Well, I mean, we'll get to it, but no, Has Been Heroes sounds very intriguing. It just, like I said, I really want to devote time to Horizon Zero Dawn. So I've been tempted to pick it up, especially since I have like a $50 Nintendo card burning a hole in my pocket.
I'm going to warn you that Horizon Zero Dawn it can take a long time, a lot longer than I expected.
No, and I know it can, and I might get to a point where I'm like satisfied or where I need something else to kind of go to before I like get back to Horizon. So I don't know if that'll be Has Been Heroes or if I might try something else, but
it's okay.
What's the Snake Pass game?
Snake Pass is a platformer where it's a puzzle platformer where instead of playing as like a normal platformer where you can just run and jump and hop all over things, you actually have to do it as a snake. Huh. So like you're if there's a branch that reaches out and you have to like get from one platform to the next, you have to go up the branch and like twirl your body around it and like climb off to the next platform.
I might pick that up instead.
Yeah, I mean it looks cool, and again, like I'll probably I want to check that one out. There was another like a shooter. It looked almost like Geometry Wars style, like scrolling shooter that came out too. That looked really cool.
And I've heard they're good. I've heard like basically there's a couple shoot 'em ups that have come on the Switch, and apparently a lot of people.
Yeah, well, Metal
really
Slug is on there, and
yeah.
I need to buy Metal Slug at some point. But I feel like there's no point in playing Metal Slug unless I have somebody else who's going to play with.
You know what I've also heard as of late? I don't know if they're going to update to change it or not, but apparently all of the Neo Geo games that are on there, you cannot play with a single Joy-Con.
Interesting.
So you can't play 2-player Metal Slug with just the Joy-Cons. You need to have 2 sets of Joy-Cons or Joy-Cons and a Pro Controller.
What? Yeah, it's
well,
crazy.
we're all set.
We're fine, but it's still kind of disappointing.
That doesn't really make sense because
I would love like it should be like, oh hey, John and I are gonna go grab some dinner. Let's play some Metal Slug on the table while we're waiting.
Okay.
But you can't do that unless you're bringing
you're stuck milking the cow or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is controversial.
Let's loop back to Has Been Heroes though.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions?
I was
about
gonna actually ask you.
Okay.
How much is it?
It's $20.
20?
20.
Okay, I thought it was 40 for some reason.
No.
This and
I would take the plunge for 20
At first, when I was disappointed with it, excuse me, I was like, this game is not worth $20. But
is it easy to play in handheld mode?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Because
I would rather play it in handheld mode.
I like the way it looks, and it made sense to me to play.
Because you were having issues with
Shovel Knight with the handheld mode, but it's really hard to pull that stuff off quickly with those tiny little.
You have.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the fake D-pad really ruins it for me.
Okay.
Go on.
So, you were having trouble with the Joy-Cons like being too cramped or something, weren't you?
My problem is
At
with
some
the
point?
right stick.
Right.
It's
It's
so
just- it's in a
low
weird
that
position.
it makes my thumb.
The only thing you use the right
Hurt.
stick for is for moving between nodes.
Okay.
So
cool.
it's literally like the fact that you can't use the touch screen is something that I'm like, it
blows your
doesn't
mind.
ruin the game for me, but this is a game that could use a touch screen. Like
Yeah.
you could use it. Like it could be a functional part of the game instead of having the Joy-Cons.
Yeah, the thing is,
If they implemented a mode where you could hand the Joy-Cons off to other people and they could play as the enemies
other
rolling
two.
towards
Oh.
you, or even play as like, yeah, so
you could divide
stuff
and
like that. I
conquer
mean,
pretty much.
that would be awesome. Like that would be really cool for future reference. But it is a game where like it could play as like you tap on the character and then you tap on the lane that you want it to attack or whatever. You know, it could be that. One of the other issues that I have with it is that the items that you pick up are stuck to that character. You can't swap between characters. So you need to understand what. That's the benefit of like going through it so many times and picking up other items and learning what they do. Is once you've picked them up once, it brings up a dialogue box that tells you what it does. But at first, if you haven't had the item before, it just gives you a question mark. So you have no clue. And you just have to take a chance with somebody. Same thing with like spells too. If you haven't had a spell yet, same effect.
That's the way a lot of those roguelikes go. Like even Enter the Gungeon.
Yeah,
And Spelunky, by the
and
way.
I
you
get-
pick up an item in Spelunky, you have no idea what it does.
I
until
get that
you mess
idea,
around with
and,
it.
and it definitely adds an element of like wanting to play through a round because you're like, oh shit, well if I run into that again, it would be better on this character, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. For instance, like my heavy who has a single hit and does the most damage, I always give him the abilities that like when he uses the spell or whatever it is, it instantly does like lightning damage and stuns a character, like stuns an enemy or whatever. So like I'm always giving him powers to like stun enemies instantly because not only is he stunning them, but he does a ton of damage, and then I can swap a character in and attack
and hit
again.
him more time.
Right.
Yeah.
The assassin character that you start with has the ability, like they start with the ability to double the amount of attacks you do. So when you start running into enemies that have like 6 or 7 stamina, you can actually use that ability and then hit the enemy 6 or 7 times to knock down their stamina and stun them, and then swap your heavy into attack. Like you just have to come up with all these different strategies and things. And playing through a million times really gets you to understand the mechanics of each of the items you pick up and all the different spells that you have so that you can map them to the right characters as you're playing.
So you're saying when you complete the map, you're essentially allowing yourself a bigger map to play through.
So, okay, yeah, when you complete the first, you start with one map.
yeah.
You complete that map, you beat the boss, you unlock a new character, and you start the game over.
Okay.
Then you have 2 nodes, like 2 map nodes. So then you complete the first map and kill the same first enemy, the first boss that you killed, and then move on to a second map where you kill the second boss.
New boss.
And then again, you complete the game, you unlock a new character, you unlock all kinds of collectibles, and then you start over. And so each time you go through, you're unlocking a different section of the world, and then you get a different map for each of those sections.
And the characters that you have, can you swap? Like, are you swapping them out at the beginning of a map, or
the characters that you have, you swap out at the beginning of the game if you want to.
okay?
So if like right now, I only have 5 characters. There are 4 3-hit characters, and I want to say like maybe 12 2-hit characters, and then a whole bunch, like maybe 24 single-hit characters. I might be exaggerating this, but there are a lot of single-hit characters. It looks like the heavies, and then the mids, there's fewer, and then the 3 hits are even fewer. So you can swap out. And they all start random. They don't start in random lanes. They all start like in accordance to like how like they're listing on the left hand side down in the status bar. But
so when you finish that first node,
okay,
and you get all those collectibles,
yeah,
is that all stuff that you're gonna lose when you die?
You're unlocking the collectibles.
Oh, you're unlocking the ability to get
them in the game.
Okay, all right. So then by that nature, I assume some of those collectibles probably make that first part of the first node somewhat easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. As you start unlocking more shit, like you end up becoming like, I had a run where I like breezed, like my second run through in like when I had gotten to the second boss, the ability to kill the second boss.
Yeah.
The run that I had there from having unlocked so many things from beating the first boss was like a billion times easier than the first time. But then because you don't know how the next boss works. Each boss has different mechanics. Like, so the second boss that I fought was, he's like this phantom dude, and he basically he would summon these stone statues in the middle of the lane, so you couldn't attack past the stone statue. So it gave the enemies an opportunity to move forward further before you could actually do damage to them, which is bad. You want to try and kill them off as soon as you possibly can.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time sending my heavy out to smash the statues, and then swapping lanes to smash the statues, and then going in. Like the actual boss only had 1 hit point, and he wouldn't come down unless all the statues were gone. And I didn't figure that out until later on. Like that, I need to get rid of all the statues so the boss pops out. And then once he popped out, I launched a fireball at him. He was dead. It took it's just like the repetition of doing it over and over again. Like it's not. I thought at first it sucked, and then I was like, this is what this game is all about. I love this.
It sounds awesome. It sounds a lot like it gives me some Rogue Legacy vibes. Like I feel like it'll scratch that itch a little bit, in some ways at least. But I'm excited to check it out at some point. I just don't know when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Do you know? Because it's only on Switch right now, but it is coming.
No, it's on Xbox.
Is it?
I believe so.
Really?
I thought it was Switch exclusive for a while.
I mean, it might be, but I thought it was also coming out on Xbox like pretty soon, if it's not already
I
out.
thought it was coming out on PC.
Because somebody reviewed it using the Xbox One.
I don't know. All right. I guess it's out on Switch, PS4, Windows, and Xbox One. So
It is a sweet game. It is different. What I like about it being on the Switch is that it fires up really fast. It's definitely I found myself picking it up for a few minutes before going to work every morning.
Yeah.
Like when I was waiting, like just kind of chilling at home, and was like, okay,
well,
like,
now
I don't
that you
feel
can
like being at work quite yet.
suspend games, the idea that like you can be like, all right, I'm going to do a couple turns in this battle and then just let it sit and then go to work and then come back to it is pretty cool.
I do really appreciate that about the Switch, is how fast everything loads and goes into sleep and comes out of sleep.
Leaving Zelda in sleep and then just picking it right up again is awesome. So like it sounds like this game
like I was
would benefit from that too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like I've got some time on the subway. I'll pull this out, play a couple things.
Yeah, it's that sort of game. It's it's quick to pick up. It's hard to master.
Yeah,
and
I mean
it fires up fast. It runs really well. It's got cool art. It's got epic music. It has some voice acting in it, which is cool.
I have one thing about the art that I will say, but what were you going to say?
I was just going to say that's what appealed to me as far as getting it for the Switch, is it looked like something you could just play
pick
little
up and
bit
put
of
down.
and put down.
For some reason, the 2 times that I've gone to the store to like look at this game and then be like, no, I should really play Horizon. One of the things that has really like put me off is just the font of the numbers. The font itself, for some reason.
John knows all about off-putting fonts.
Because it's like an old school 8-bit font and it's hard to read.
No, because it feels like something off of like Newgrounds. You know? Do you remember that website?
No.
Like it just feels like, or like Congregate, like one of those websites that has a bunch of, it looks like a Flash game to me, essentially.
Okay.
You know? So I don't know why that's bothered me so much, but for some reason it has. So it's not a good reason to not pick it up, and that's not the only reason, but that's been one thing that's been.
Yeah. I mean, I understand. It's to me, it's hard to read. I think at some points, like some of the letters look similar, so everyone ends up being a little bit dyslexic.
There also seems like a lot of numbers too, even in just the screenshots that they show in the eShop store. It's like there's a lot of numbers happening.
I mean, the only numbers
now.
You have to pay attention to. You don't have to pay attention to numbers. The only numbers that pop up on screen is like the damage you're doing or whatever.
And well, like I assume your stamina bar or something like that. But
yeah, well, your stamina bar is not even a number. Your stamina is a little box next to your life bar.
Okay.
And
right.
and if you have like my heavy has 4 stamina boxes.
Yeah.
And each of the 2 lighter characters has a single stamina box. But you can actually go through and you can find altars to get more stamina, which is cool. Or certain items you pick up will give you more stamina.
Like temporary stamina or something.
Well, no,
right.
I mean it gives you stamina. It's like raises max stamina by 1 or whatever.
Okay, cool.
So and it lasts the duration of that run. So
It sounds cool.
It's
I'll
a
have
cool
to pick
game.
it up.
I mean, if you're skeptical, wait a little while. It'll probably go on sale. It's made by the guys who did Trine. I don't know if you played Trine.
That's
I
why
don't play it,
one of
but
the
I-
reasons why
yeah.
I was interested. I like Trine.
Yeah, because
Although I've never
Trine again
finished
was
the
like the
Trine
sort of game where you're swapping characters on the fly.
I liked
sort of
playing
thing.
Trine as a multiplayer game. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, but it's
I never tried it.
You never tried it.
You should try
You
it
didn't try.
sometime.
You didn't try it out.
I'm pretty sure I own it on like 30 platforms
Yeah,
because
probably.
it's been like free and I don't know whatever.
Yeah, but it's again, like if you're skeptical about it, you don't really know how you feel about playing a game in this particular style. Don't wait for it to go on sale. Like don't buy it right now.
If you
But
want to
I-
play something similar that's a little bit more forgiving and isn't turn based, check out Rogue Legacy because that game is amazing.
Yeah, and I mean there were a lot of complaints in this that like all the enemies look the same, blah blah blah. This is the sort of game where like I mean if people adopt it earlier on, they'll probably start expanding it and like
Yeah.
giving you like more enemies to fight in different maps and blah blah blah. It's fun. Like it is legitimately a fun game to play, and again, it's easy to pick up, difficult to master. I would. Again, I at first hated it and didn't think it was worth $20, but at this point, like having given it a full chance, I've played it for 10 to 15 hours, I think. I love it. I think it's great. It's
Awesome.
it's a fun game. It was one of those. It was like a good decompress, like what did I say? Pickle ginger of my gaming sushi.
Wash the palate.
Yeah, it was
Cleanse it.
good. It was different, and I enjoyed it. So
Cool.
yeah, so. That's all
So
I have.
it's good game and it's fun, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's worth $20.
Okay.
All right.
What are you trying to get at? Because I said that a bunch and you're just like repeating it again like we do in our text messages.
Yes.
It's a good game and it was fun. I had a good time.
All right.
I enjoyed it.
It sounds fun.
It's fun.
And like it might be good.
It is good, yeah.
Okay.
It's very good,
Good.
and fun.
Yes.
I enjoyed it
Fun.
a lot. Yeah. It was
Cool.
great.
Good fun.
Yeah, so anyways, thanks again for everybody who joined us on Twitch, even the guy that I banned because he was being a douche.
But
suck my
thanks
balls.
anyways.
I won't name you by name, but you can suck my balls. Other than that, while you're listening or even watching along, head over to MidwestPodcastNetwork.com/support and check out all the various ways you can support us. We got a support store where you can buy shirts, hoodies, and beer koozies, and there's a donate button if you want to just send us money so that we can buy more games and talk about them on here. You can check out the Amazon affiliate link. So when you buy stuff from Amazon, be it anything, you could buy groceries, you could buy underwear, whatever the hell you want on Amazon. If you go through that link, we get a portion of the proceeds, which is totally sweet. And don't forget to rate and review us on your favorite podcatcher like iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play Podcasts. And that's a tough one to get through.
It is.
Yeah, they need to shorten that. It just needs to be like Google Cast or something like
Yeah. I don't know.
that. And TuneIn Radio
I'm
for sure.
fairly certain we have 0 listeners on it too, but
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's maybe 1 or 2. I'll have to look again at the stats.
yeah.
And as always, if you like what you hear, even if you don't, please do send us feedback via email at midwestgamenerds@gmail.com or via Twitter at MGN Podcast. And don't forget to add us on Instagram at MidwestGamenerds. My buddy here in the chat, Chola J, however it's actually pronounced, please do email us your questions about expansion plans because we have ideas, man.
Yeah.
So send them along. We're happy to talk to
Our
you about that.
website
but-
is midwestpodcastnetwork.com.
Yeah, and you can email midwestgamenerds@gmail.com or wherever. You can contact us through midwestpodcastnetwork.com
You
as
can
well.
send a flare up into the sky. We might see it.
Smoke
Yeah.
signals. If
Yeah.
you're in the Midwest, you never know. We might be able to see you because
Mhm.
we're in the Midwest. Other than
Telegram.
that,
No
yeah,
telegram.
no telegram. Morse
I'll
code
take a telegram.
by the wire.
Yeah.
Wire it to us. Other than that, be sure to check out the other podcasts on the network here. We've got Horror Movie Yearbook just released a new episode on 1980.
1990.
1990?
Yeah. They were doing the year of 1990.
Oh, 1990, and then they also had 880 before or whenever the Blob came out.
880.
I don't know, 1980, I think. I don't
Yeah.
remember. Anyways, but that one, I'm listening to that one right now. It's pretty funny. Those guys are good. They're so
They're-
funny.
Yeah. We had a little fun April Fool's thing too.
Yeah, that was good.
Hopefully didn't lose them that many listeners, but check that out too.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely curious.
It's fun. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, and check out other podcasts on the network too. Some of
Yeah.
the archives of Midwest Film Nerds and Preachers Gone to Texas with the Preacher podcast and
Gone
Westworld
to Texas, it would be a good thing to listen to because Preacher Season 1 is now available on Hulu in total. So you
Yeah.
can go through, listen to a few of our episodes, or we got a season wrap-up at the end if you just want to listen to one. We'd love to have you along for Season 2 when that starts in June.
Yeah, so check it out. Thanks again for everybody listening, and those of you in the Twitch chat chatting along with us. We appreciate it. We appreciate all of our listeners, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.